The text message glared at me from my phone screen, undeniable proof of what I'd suspected for weeks. Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Your wife will never know. My hands trembled as I read it again, my brother-in-law Joshua's reply making me equally sick. Neither will my nosy sister-in-law. I'm Brianna, and in that moment, I knew exposing the truth would cost me everything. My sister Kinley had always been my best friend, my protector, my constant. Now I had to shatter her world. The weight of that responsibility felt like concrete in my chest as I drove to her house, the screenshots burning a hole in my pocket. I found her in the kitchen, humming while loading the dishwasher. "Hey, sis," she called out cheerfully. "You're just in time for coffee." "Kinley, we need to talk." My voice cracked. "It's about Joshua." She turned, her smile fading as she saw my expression. "What's wrong?" I pulled out my phone, hands shaking. "I saw something today. Messages between Joshua and someone else." "What are you talking about?" Her voice turned sharp, defensive. I showed her the screenshots. She snatched my phone, her face draining of color as she scrolled. Then, suddenly, she hurled it across the room. "You're lying! You photoshopped these!" "Kinley, please." "Get out!" She advanced on me, tears streaming down her face. "You've always been jealous of my marriage, haven't you? Always trying to find fault with Joshua." "That's not true!" I reached for her, but she recoiled. "I'm trying to protect you." "Protect me?" She laughed bitterly. "You're trying to destroy my family. Get out of my house." "Kinley, listen." "Out." I backed away, my own tears falling now. "I love you. When you're ready to talk." "Don't bother coming to Mom and Dad's tonight," she spat. "I'll tell them what you tried to do." She was true to her word. That evening, my phone exploded with messages. First came Mom. "How could you make up such horrible lies about Joshua, your own sister's husband?" Then Dad. "You've gone too far this time, Brianna. Until you apologize to your sister and Joshua, don't bother coming around." Even my cousin Zaylee, who usually stayed out of family drama, texted, "Everyone's furious. What happened?" I sat in my apartment, watching my family fracture in real time through my phone screen. Only my friend Evangeline offered support when I called her, sobbing. "You did the right thing," she insisted. "They'll see the truth eventually." But eventually felt like cold comfort when Joshua showed up at my door the next morning, his face twisted with rage. "You happy now?" he snarled. "Trying to destroy my marriage?" I stood my ground. "You destroyed it yourself." "Nobody will believe you," he sneered. "You're just the jealous little sister who can't stand to see anyone else happy." "I've already convinced Kinley you doctored those messages." "Get out," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You know what's funny? I actually did think about you first, but you were always too uptight, too proper. Your sister was much more fun." I slammed the door in his face, sliding down against it as his laughter echoed through the hallway. That night, I lay in bed scrolling through old photos of Kinley and me. Us as kids, matching gap-toothed grins, teenagers sharing prom preparation disasters. Her wedding day, where I'd stood beside her as maid of honor, genuinely happy for her joy. My phone buzzed with a text from Kinley. "I never want to see you again. You're dead to me." I turned off my phone, curled into a ball, and let myself cry. I'd done the right thing. I knew that. But right now, it felt like I'd lost everything. Tomorrow, I'd have to figure out how to rebuild my life from the ashes of my family's trust. But tonight, I allowed myself to mourn what I'd lost by telling the truth. My sister's love, my parents' support, my place in the family. The worst part? I knew this was just the beginning. Joshua would make sure I paid dearly for exposing his secret, and my family would help him do it. As I drifted into an uneasy sleep, one thought kept circling. Sometimes doing the right thing comes at a terrible price, but I'd rather pay that price than live with the weight of silence. "You can't live on my couch forever," Evangeline said, tossing a pillow at my head. 2 weeks had passed since my family's implosion, and I'd barely left her apartment except for work. "Watch me," I mumbled into the cushions, but I knew she was right. "Get up. We're going apartment hunting." She yanked away my blanket. And then you're coming with me to that networking event I told you about? I can't afford. Yes, you can. You're not paying rent here, remember? You've been saving money. She paused, her voice softening. Plus, Kinley called the office again yesterday. I sat up straight. What did she want? To make sure you weren't working the same shift as Joshua's cousin. Apparently, she's convinced you'll try to spread more lies about her precious husband. My chest tightened. Just last week, I'd had to switch gyms because Kinley had told the owner I was harassing her family members. The memory of that humiliation still stung. Fine, I said, standing up. Let's go look at apartments. The third place we visited was perfect, a small studio in a quiet building, far from my family's usual haunts. As I signed the lease, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Your father's birthday dinner is next week. Don't come unless you're ready to apologize. I showed Evangeline the message. She scowled. Remember last year's dinner, when Joshua got drunk and hit on that waitress right in front of Kinley? And everyone laughed it off as him being friendly, I finished bitterly. God, I was so blind. We all were, she said, squeezing my shoulder. Now, about that networking event. Hours later, I stood in a crowded hotel conference room, clutching a glass of wine like a shield. Evangeline had disappeared into the crowd, leaving me alone with my thoughts. You look about as comfortable as I feel, a voice said beside me. I turned to find a tall man with kind eyes extending his hand. I'm Connor. First time here? Brianna, and that obvious, huh? He laughed. Well, you're hiding in the corner, so... I'm not hiding, I protested. I'm strategically positioning myself. Our conversation flowed easily after that, until my phone lit up with a call from Zaylee. I excused myself to answer it. Bree? Her voice was hushed. I had to call. Joshua. I saw him today. With someone. My heart raced. What do you mean? At that new restaurant downtown. He was with a woman. Definitely not Kinley. They were very friendly. I closed my eyes, feeling sick. Have you told Kinley? I can't. She won't believe me. Not after, you know. I know. The words tasted bitter. I'm sorry I didn't believe you at first, Zaylee whispered. I should have... Don't, I cut her off. Just keep an eye on Kinley for me? After hanging up, I returned to find Connor still waiting. Everything okay? He asked. Family drama, I said vaguely. Actually, I should probably go. Wait, he called as I turned to leave. We're looking for a marketing director at my company. From what you've told me about your work, you'd be perfect. Would you be interested in interviewing? I stared at him, thrown by the sudden opportunity. Yes. Yes, I would. Later that night, as I lay on Evangeline's couch for the last time before moving into my new apartment, my phone buzzed with another text, this time from Dad. Your sister's hurting. Fix this. I typed back, I told the truth. I won't apologize for that. Then I blocked his number, just like I'd blocked Mom's and Kinley's. Tomorrow, I'd move into my new apartment. Next week, I'd interview for a job that could change everything. My family might have abandoned me, but I was done letting their rejection define me. Evangeline's voice drifted from her bedroom. You okay out there? No, I called back honestly, but I will be. And for the first time since this whole mess started, I actually believed it. The truth had cost me my family, but it hadn't cost me my integrity. As I drifted off to sleep, I thought about Connor's job offer and felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks. Hope. Sometimes the universe has a way of opening new doors when others slam shut. I just had to be brave enough to walk through them. And that's how we increased engagement by 60% last quarter, I finished, clicking to the final slide of my presentation. The boardroom erupted in applause, and Connor shot me an approving nod from across the table. 6 months into my new role as marketing director, and I'd already made waves. My team was thriving, our campaigns were succeeding, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly in control. After the meeting, Connor caught up with me in the hallway. Drinks tonight to celebrate? Rain check? I'm mentoring at the Women's Center. He smiled. Still helping others despite everything you've been through. That's what I admire about you, Bree. The moment felt charged until his phone buzzed. His face fell as he checked it. My sister again. She's going through something similar to your situation. Want to talk about it over lunch? At the cafe, Connor opened up. She caught her husband cheating, but our parents don't believe her. They think she's making it up for attention. My hands tightened around my coffee cup. That must be hard for her. It is. I'm the only one who believes her. He paused. That's why I knew you were telling the truth when you mentioned your family situation during your interview. Is that why you hired me? No, he laughed. I hired you because you're brilliant, but your integrity? That's why I trust you. Back at the office, I found Zaylee waiting by my desk. My cousin had started interning at the company last month, and I'd been secretly thrilled to have family nearby again. Emergency, she whispered. Kinley's here. My heart stopped. What? In the lobby. She's asking for you. I squared my shoulders. Tell her I'm in a meeting. She's crying, Bree. That made me pause. Kinley never cried in public. Fine. Send her up. Minutes later, my sister stood in my office doorway, mascara streaking her cheeks. I saw him, she choked out. With her. You were right. I wanted to say, I told you so. Wanted to scream about the months of isolation and pain. Instead, I closed my office door and pulled her into a hug. He's been seeing her for months, Kinley sobbed into my shoulder. Everyone knew except me. Mom and Dad still don't believe it. They say I'm being paranoid because of your lies. I'm so sorry, Kin. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. No, I'm sorry. I should have believed you. Should have seen it sooner. You weren't ready to see it. I filed for divorce yesterday, she whispered. I didn't know where else to go. Before I could respond, my office phone rang. It was reception. Ms. Townsend, there's a Joshua Armstrong here to see you. Kinley's face went pale. I pressed the intercom. Send him up. Bree, no. Trust me, I said, squeezing her hand. It's time we both faced him. Joshua burst through my door moments later, freezing when he saw Kinley. Baby, I've been looking everywhere for you. Don't! Kinley snapped. Just don't! This is your fault, he snarled at me. You turned her against me. I stood walking around my desk. No, Joshua, your actions did that. Now get out of my office before I call security. You can't. Actually, I can. And I will. I pressed the security button under my desk. By the way, how's the job search going? I heard your company downsized after losing their biggest client. Funny how that happened right after I warned them about your ethical challenges. His face contorted with rage, but security arrived before he could respond. As they escorted him out, Kinley turned to me with wide eyes. Did you really? Let's just say karma works in mysterious ways. I smiled. Now, want to grab dinner? There's someone I'd like you to meet. That evening, over wine and pasta, I watched Kinley share her story with Connor's sister, while Connor squeezed my hand under the table. For the first time in months, I felt whole again. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Your sister's making terrible accusations about Joshua. What did you say to her? I showed Kinley the message. She grabbed my phone and typed, Mom, Brianna told the truth. It's time you and Dad listened. As I watched my sister stand up for me, I realized something profound. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find out what you're truly worth. And sometimes, the family you rebuild is stronger than the one you lost. Another round? Connor suggested, raising his glass. We all lifted our glasses, toasting to new beginnings and hard-won truths. He's living in his car, Zaylee announced, dropping into the chair across from my desk. 3 months had passed since Kinley's divorce filing, and Joshua's downward spiral was becoming town gossip. Not our problem, I replied, not looking up from my laptop. That's cold, Bree. But she was smiling. The mighty have fallen, huh? First the job loss, then the divorce, now this. My phone buzzed. A text from Kinley. He's asking for money again. Says he'll tell Mom and Dad the whole truth if I don't help. Still blackmailing her, I muttered, showing Zaylee the message. The whole truth about what? That's just it. There is no whole truth. He's desperate. I texted Kinley back. Don't give him a penny. Connor knocked on my office door, grinning. Ready for lunch? Oh, hey, Zaylee. Actually, Zaylee said, you both need to hear this. I just found out Joshua's applying for jobs at our competitor companies. Connor's expression darkened. With his reputation? Apparently, he's telling everyone Brianna orchestrated a smear campaign against him out of jealousy. She paused. And that you helped her do it. That's ridiculous, Connor scoffed, but I saw worry flash across his face. My desk phone rang, the front desk. Ms. Townsend, your parents are here. The air left my lungs. What? Should I send them up? I looked at Connor, who nodded encouragingly. Yes, send them up. Mom entered first, Dad trailing behind. They looked older somehow, worn down. Mom spoke first. We need to talk about Joshua. Now you want to talk? The words came out sharper than intended. Brianna, Dad warned, but Mom held up her hand. We deserve that, she said quietly. We've been wrong about a lot of things. Sit down, I offered, gesturing to the chairs. Connor and Zaylee slipped out, closing the door behind them. Joshua came to see us yesterday, Dad said, demanding money, claiming he had proof you and Kinley conspired against him. And we realized something, Mom continued. The son-in-law we defended so fiercely wouldn't be living in his car, begging for money if he was innocent. I leaned back in my chair. Took you long enough? We're trying to apologize, Dad snapped, then softened. We should have believed you, both of you. Do you know what it was like? My voice cracked. Having my entire family turn against me for telling the truth? We know now, Mom whispered. Kinley told us everything, about the other women, the lies, the manipulation. She reached for my hand across the desk. We failed you, sweetheart. A knock interrupted us. Evangeline poked her head in. Sorry, but Brianna, you need to see this. She handed me her phone, opened to a social media post. Joshua had written a long rant, accusing me of destroying his life, claiming Connor and I were having an affair during his marriage to Kinley. He's lost it, Dad muttered, reading over my shoulder. No, I said. He's desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. My phone buzzed again. Kinley. Just got served with papers. He's suing me for defamation. You too, probably. Let him, I said aloud, showing my parents the message. I've kept every message, every piece of evidence. Let him try to explain those in court. Mom squeezed my hand. We'll stand with you this time, both of you. We can't change the past, Dad added, but we can do better now. After they left, Connor returned with coffee. You okay? Getting there. I showed him Joshua's post. Looks like we're the latest stars of his revenge tour. Let him rant, Connor said, sitting on the edge of my desk. Success is the best revenge, and you're crushing it. Speaking of success, I smiled. Want to give him something real to talk about? What do you mean? I stood up, closing the distance between us. Dinner tonight? Just us? His smile lit up his face. I thought you'd never ask. Later that evening, as Connor and I shared wine and stories at my favorite restaurant, my phone lit up with another message from Kinley. Just got the lawsuit papers. His evidence is pathetic. We've got this, sis. I showed Connor the message, and he raised his glass. To karma? To karma, I agreed, clinking my glass against his. And to second chances. As we talked and laughed, I realized something. Joshua's attempts to destroy me had only made me stronger. He'd tried to paint me as the villain, but all he'd done was write himself into a corner. And this time, I wasn't alone in fighting back. Is this some kind of joke? I stared at the email on my screen, unable to process what I was reading. Evangeline peered over my shoulder. Is that from Joshua? Dear Brianna, I read aloud. I'm writing to formally apply for the senior marketing position at your company. He can't be serious. He's desperate, Evangeline said. Nobody else will hire him. My phone rang. Kinley. Did you get it too? I asked. The job application? Yeah. He sent it to every executive in the company. She paused. He's trying to force your hand. By applying for a job with the sister-in-law he's currently suing? I laughed bitterly. Bold strategy. Connor appeared in my doorway, waving a printed copy of Joshua's resume. Emergency meeting in 5 minutes. The board wants to discuss this. In the conference room, the tension was palpable. Our CEO, a shrewd woman named Margaret, spoke first. We need to handle this carefully. Rejecting him outright could add fuel to his lawsuit. He's qualified on paper, another executive added, and we need to fill that position. Are you serious? I stood up. He's actively suing me and my sister. Which is exactly why we need to play this smart, Margaret said. Brianna, what if we did hire him? What? Hear me out. He'd be under your direct supervision. Every interaction documented, every assignment monitored. If he's truly changed, fine. If not, she smiled. Well, you'd be in position to document everything. Connor caught my eye across the table. I could see him thinking the same thing I was. This could be an opportunity. Fine, I said, but I want everything in writing, and I mean everything. Later that day, I called Kinley to explain the plan. You're going to be his boss? She laughed. Oh, this is perfect. You're not mad? Mad? Bree, this is karma at its finest. Just be careful, okay? He's still dangerous. I drafted the email myself. Dear Mr. Armstrong, we're pleased to offer you a position, conditional upon the following terms. The list of conditions was long and explicit, everything from mandatory harassment training to detailed performance metrics. His reply came within minutes. I accept all conditions. Thank you for this opportunity. He's up to something, Evangeline said when I showed her his response. Obviously, but so am I. Joshua's first day arrived with a thunderstorm that matched the mood. He walked into the office wearing a suit that had seen better days, his former arrogance replaced by careful humility. Thank you for this chance, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. Let's be clear, I replied, handing him an employee handbook. This is a professional environment. Any deviation from these policies will result in immediate termination. Understood? Crystal clear. His smile didn't reach his eyes. I assigned him the most tedious projects possible: spreadsheet analysis, market research, data entry. Each day, he completed them without complaint, but I could see the resentment simmering beneath his forced politeness. 2 weeks in, he knocked on my office door. Can we talk? Keep it professional, I warned. Look, I know what you're doing, he said, closing the door. Trying to break me with busy work. But I've changed. The divorce, losing everything. It was a wake-up call. Save it for someone who hasn't heard your lies before. His facade cracked slightly. You think you're so perfect, don't you? Sitting in your corner office dating Connor, playing happy families with Kinley again. You took everything from me. No, Joshua. You lost everything all by yourself. I pressed record on my phone, letting it capture his outburst. And you're about to lose this job too if you don't get back to work. He stormed out, slamming the door. Minutes later, Connor appeared. You okay? I saw Joshua leave looking angry. I'm fine. I played him the recording. Just collecting evidence. You're brilliant. You know that? He kissed my forehead. Dinner tonight? Can't. Family dinner at Mom and Dad's. First one since everything. Want moral support? I smiled. Actually, yes. But first, help me draft an email documenting Joshua's little outburst. Something tells me we'll need it soon. As I typed up the incident report, I couldn't help but smile. Joshua thought he was playing me by taking this job, but he'd walked right into my trap. Every day he spent under my supervision was another day he proved who he really was. And this time, I had witnesses. He's doing what? Kinley nearly spat out her coffee across my desk. Teaching an ethics seminar, I repeated, showing her the company-wide email. He volunteered to lead the workplace conduct training next week. That's like having a fox teach hen house security, she sputtered. Exactly, and that's why I approved it. Kinley's eyes widened with understanding. You're giving him enough rope to hang himself. The lawsuit hearing is in 3 weeks, I reminded her. Every move he makes here is documented, including this little performance. A knock at my door interrupted us. Joshua, with that practiced, humble smile. Got a minute to discuss the seminar outline? Perfect timing, I said. Kinley was just leaving. He flinched slightly as Kinley brushed past him, her head held high. Once she was gone, his smile dropped. You're enjoying this, aren't you? he asked, closing the door. The seminar? I think it's a wonderful initiative. Cut the act, Brianna. We both know what you're doing. Do we? I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Please, enlighten me. He sat down, leaning forward. You think you're so clever, documenting every little thing, setting me up to fail. But what happens when I actually succeed? When I run this seminar perfectly and prove I've changed? Then everybody wins, I replied smoothly. That's what second chances are for, right? His eye twitched, the same tell he'd had when lying to Kinley all those years. Right. The day of the seminar arrived, and I made sure to sit in the front row. Connor sat beside me, while Zaylee positioned herself in the back with her laptop, ready to record everything. Joshua stood at the podium, the picture of reformation. Today we're discussing workplace ethics and the importance of honesty. Halfway through his presentation, my phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. I opened it and froze. Photos, dozens of them. Joshua with different women, timestamps spanning his entire marriage to Kinley. Another message followed. Found these on his old cloud account. Thought you should have them. His ex before Kinley. I forwarded them to our legal team immediately, then looked up to find Joshua staring at me intently. Is there something you'd like to share with the group, Brianna? He asked, his voice sickly sweet. Actually, yes. I stood up. I think this would be a perfect time to discuss real-world examples of ethical breaches. His face paled as I connected my phone to the projector. That's not part of the presentation? I smiled. But you're always talking about transparency, aren't you? This is harassment, he shouted, mask finally slipping. No, Connor stood up beside me. This is evidence for both the lawsuit and the ethics committee. The room erupted in whispers as the first photo appeared on screen. Joshua lunged for the projector cable, but security was already moving in. I'd arranged for them to be present just in case. You're fired, I said calmly, for attempting to assault your supervisor. Please escort yourself out or security will do it for you. You set me up, he screamed as security approached. This whole job was a setup. No, Joshua, you did this to yourself. Again. Later that evening, I sat with Connor, Kinley, and Evangeline at our favorite bar, recounting the day's events. His ex really came through, Kinley marveled, scrolling through the photos. These are dated. Location tagged. He never stood a chance with the lawsuit now. Speaking of chances, Connor said, taking my hand, I have something to ask you. If it's about moving in together, the answer is yes, I smiled. I've seen you eyeing my spare room key. He laughed. Am I that obvious? You both are, Evangeline groaned. It's disgusting. My phone buzzed. Mom. Just heard what happened at your office. Your father and I are proud of you, sweetheart. Joshua showed up here asking for money again. We sent him away. Look at that, I showed them the message. Full family reformation. To new beginnings, Kinley raised her glass. And to my sister, who never gave up on the truth. As we clinked glasses, I caught sight of Joshua through the bar's window, watching us from his car. But this time, I wasn't afraid. He had no power here anymore. The truth had won, and karma had finally come full circle. He's here, Zaylee whispered, nudging me as I adjusted the centerpiece on Mom and Dad's dining room table. Joshua's outside. I peered through the window. Sure enough, he was parked across the street, watching the house as guests arrived for Dad's 60th birthday party. Should I call the police? Connor asked, appearing beside me. Not yet. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Let's see what he does first. Kinley burst through the front door, face flushed. Did you see? We saw, I confirmed. How long has he been following you? 3 days, she wrung her hands. Ever since the lawsuit was dismissed. Mom emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. What's everyone looking at? Oh. Her face hardened when she saw Joshua's car. That's it. I'm calling the police. Wait, Dad said, joining us at the window. Let me talk to him first. Dad, no. But he was already striding out the front door. We watched as he approached Joshua's car, his shoulders set in that familiar, determined way. I can't watch this, Kinley muttered, but none of us moved from the window. Joshua stepped out of his car, looking disheveled. Even from here, I could see he'd been drinking. "You need to leave," Dad's voice carried clearly in the evening air. "It's a public street," Joshua slurred. "I can park wherever I want." "You're stalking my daughters." "They ruined my life," Joshua shouted, loud enough that several neighbors poked their heads out. "Everything I had, gone, because precious Brianna couldn't keep her mouth shut." "No," Dad's voice turned to steel. "Everything you had, gone because you couldn't keep your pants on or tell the truth." Joshua lunged forward, but Dad didn't flinch. "You want to hit me, son? Go ahead. Give us another reason to call the police." I was already dialing 911 when Joshua threw the first punch. Dad dodged it easily, years of boxing in his youth paying off, but Joshua kept coming. Connor and I burst out the front door just as Dad deflected another wild swing, causing Joshua to stumble. "Police are on their way," I called out, still recording everything. "Along with your parole officer." Joshua froze. "You're bluffing." "Am I? We know about the DUI last week, the restraining order your other ex filed. One call to your parole officer about you violating the terms of your release." "You bitch," he snarled, starting toward me. But Connor stepped between us. "That's enough," Connor said quietly. "It's over, Joshua." Police sirens wailed in the distance. Joshua's face crumpled as he realized what was happening. "Please," he whispered. "I have nothing left." "That was your choice," Kinley said, joining us on the lawn. "Every lie, every betrayal, those were your choices." The police arrived, and within minutes Joshua was in handcuffs. As they led him away, he looked back at us one last time. "I'm sorry," he said, and for the first time since I'd known him, it sounded genuine. "I know," Kinley replied softly, "but it's too late." Back inside, the party guests, mostly family and close friends, were buzzing with excitement over the drama. "Are you okay?" I asked Dad, examining his hands for injuries. "Never better," he grinned. "Been wanting to do that for months." Mom swatted his arm. "Wilson, don't encourage violence." "Speaking of encouragement," Kinley interrupted, grabbing my arm. "Connor, show everyone what's in your pocket." Connor's eyes widened. "Now, after all that?" "No time like the present," Dad winked. My heart stopped as Connor dropped to one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. "Brianna," he started, "these past months have shown me what real strength and integrity look like. You stood up for the truth when it cost you everything. You helped others even when you were hurting. You showed me what love should be." He opened the box, revealing a simple but elegant ring. "Will you marry me?" "Yes," I breathed, barely aware of the cheers erupting around us. "Yes, absolutely yes." As Connor slipped the ring on my finger, Kinley hugged me from behind. "From family drama to family celebration," she laughed through tears. "To think," Mom mused, "if you hadn't told the truth that day." "Everything would be different," I finished, looking at my new ring, then at my restored family around me. "But not better." Dad raised his glass. "To truth." "To truth," everyone echoed. As we celebrated late into the night, I realized something. Sometimes the hardest path leads to the best destination. And sometimes, standing up for what's right costs everything, but gives you something better in return. "Ready for this?" Connor squeezed my hand as we approached the courthouse steps. "Born ready," I replied, though my heart raced. Today was Joshua's sentencing hearing for violating his parole and assaulting Dad. Inside, we found Kinley already seated with Mom and Dad. Zaylee slipped in moments later, followed by Evangeline. "He's taking a plea deal," Kinley whispered. "His lawyer reached out this morning." The bailiff called for order as Joshua was led in. He looked different, cleaner, more clear-eyed than at Dad's party. When he spotted us, he didn't glare or sneer. Instead, he nodded slightly, almost respectfully. The judge spoke first. "Mr. Armstrong, you've agreed to plead guilty to all charges. Before I accept this plea, do you have anything to say to the court?" Joshua stood, hands trembling. "Yes, Your Honor." He turned to face us. "I've spent months blaming everyone else for my mistakes, especially Brianna. I convinced myself she destroyed my life out of jealousy or spite. But she didn't destroy anything. She just exposed what I was already destroying myself. The courtroom remained silent as he continued. In jail, I had time to think about who I was, who I'd become. I read the letters Kinley wrote me during our marriage, saw how my lies broke her trust piece by piece. I remembered how Brianna tried to warn me before all this started, tried to give me a chance to come clean. He wiped his eyes. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want the court to know I accept full responsibility for my actions. And I want my former family to know I'm truly sorry. The judge nodded. Given your acceptance of responsibility and the plea agreement, I sentence you to 18 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Additionally, you will maintain no contact with the victims. As Joshua was led away, he paused near our row. Brianna? I met his gaze. Thank you, he said softly, for being strong enough to tell the truth when I was too weak to face it. After he was gone, we gathered outside the courthouse. Dad pulled me into a bear hug. Proud of you, kiddo, he whispered. For what? I didn't do anything today. You showed mercy, Mom said. You could have pushed for a harsher sentence, but you supported the plea deal. Speaking of support, Kinley interrupted, pulling out her phone. Look what came today. She showed us an email. She'd been accepted to law school. I want to help other women, she explained. Women who need someone to believe them, to fight for them. Like you did for me, I smiled, hugging her. Connor cleared his throat. Since we're sharing news, Brianna got promoted to executive vice president. What? Evangeline shrieked. When were you going to tell us? At dinner tonight, I laughed. Connor and I are hosting our first dinner party at our new place, remember? Later that evening, as our family and friends filled our home with laughter and love, I found myself on the balcony with Kinley. Remember when you first told me about Joshua? She asked. I was so angry, so blind. We've come a long way. Because of you. She turned to face me. You lost everything to tell me the truth, but you never lost yourself. That's what I admire most about you. Connor joined us, wrapping an arm around my waist. Your sister's pretty amazing. Gross, Kinley teased. Save it for the wedding. Inside, Dad was telling Mom and Evangeline about his heroic battle at his birthday party, while Zaylee recorded it all on her phone, probably for her blog about family dynamics. You know what's funny? I said. Joshua thought he was punishing me by applying for that job, but he actually gave me the greatest gift. What's that? Connor asked. The chance to show everyone, including myself, that the truth always wins. Not just through karma or revenge, but through growth and healing. To growth and healing, Kinley raised her wine glass. And to family, Connor added. The real kind, I finished. The kind that stands by you when you stand up for what's right. We rejoined the party, where Dad was now demonstrating his boxing moves to an amused audience. Mom caught my eye and mouthed, I love you, while Evangeline and Zaylee argued over wedding color schemes. This was my victory, not Joshua's imprisonment or my career success, but this. A family rebuilt on truth, love restored through forgiveness, and a future bright with possibility. Sometimes the hardest truths lead to the most beautiful beginnings.